Hello, everybody. I'm Pastor Don Moore, the host of Say Amen. It's so glad that you brought us into your home, and we appreciate it. Today, we want to introduce you to Just Say So. It is a show of the testimonies of people whose lives have been touched by Jesus Christ. Sometimes a testimony can do more to introduce us to Jesus than anything else. So our host for this show is Sister Julie Evans Porto. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Just Say So. God bless you.
Hello and welcome to Just Say So. My name is Julie Evans Porto. I am the host for this wonderful show that I get to sit here and listen to stories of salvation. Today I have the guest of Michelle Drago with me. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi.
Hi. So you've had quite a journey.
Yes. Yep.
Some of it has been pretty darn tough.
Yes, it has.
Yeah. Your father was in law enforcement?
Yes. Yes, he was a police officer and a detective.
All right. And he went through quite a terrifying experience on call one night, and he was never the same after that as far as just his temperament went.
He was kidnapped and held hostage for, I believe it was 24 hours. The guy who kidnapped him had just shot his uncle, and so he took my father hostage, and he was just a rookie at the time. He was just on the force, I believe, 6 months. So ever since then, he had anxiety and panic attacks and depression. And
that's why I wanted to touch on that, because, you know, there was a period of time that this world did not know how to treat trauma.
Yep.
And but I think always the Lord has known how to treat trauma. And so you had an experience yourself as a young girl.
Yes.
You had been exploring with some friends.
My cousins, yeah.
And you slipped off the side of a cliff.
Yes, I did.
And you were hanging by
my hands.
Little hands.
Yes.
And you were losing your grip.
Yes.
And what happened?
I was hanging from it was like a ledge of a rock, just hanging, and my hands were holding on, and my feet were dangling in the air. And
your
below,
cousins took off.
They took off running. I don't know why, but they took off. And I just yelled out, "My God, help me!" And this man appeared walking towards me. He had a brown, like a monk type of robe on, and I remember seeing his belt was like a braided belt. And he came up to me, and he put his hand over my hands. He didn't grab my hands. He just put his hands over my hands, and I just lifted up. And he set me back down on the ground.
And you were about 7 years old.
I was 7. And I just took off running, and when I looked back, like 5 seconds later, he was not there.
Yeah.
So
that's the kind of stuff that's in movies.
Yes.
Was there any kind of a monastery or anything around there that you know of?
Nope.
Interesting. So at 7, that had to impact you.
Yeah, it did.
Probably no one quite understood what you were saying. Okay. So then what happened? You went ahead and went through your teenage years, had some experimental times, and found yourself empty.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you get filled up? What did you find in your life? Was it having a baby? Was it marriage? What was able to fill you up?
Well, during my 20s, it seemed like everything, the doors just kept closing. I was seeking God, but I actually became fearful, because there was just, I had gone through a divorce, and just different things were happening, and one of the priests wouldn't baptize my daughter because of my divorce, and I just felt like I just couldn't connect with it. So I just kept feeling like doors were shutting and shutting, but yet I was still seeking.
And then when your daughter, Maddie, was about 3 years old, you were on your second marriage, and she had a terrible, almost undiagnosable illness, and you went everywhere. And in that going everywhere, you started to really get anxious.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where I want to enter in here. You suffered from severe anxiety.
Yeah, panic attacks.
Panic
definitely.
attacks.
I didn't know it at the time until after like the 3rd hospital visit, and then they pretty much diagnosed me. And it was hard. It's like you're alive but dead. inside, and there's no help, or you just feel really lonely.
Yes.
So I think that, you know, God coming into my life was the perfect timing. It was His timing.
Right.
And that happened. My daughter was sick. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. They thought she might have juvenile arthritis. They thought she had leukemia. After the third round of blood tests, they finally found out that
She had Lyme.
And they treated her. And we went through like almost a year of treatments. And every time they tested her, the Lyme levels would go up, not down.
But I'm interested in you. I'm interested in what happened to you, paralleling what was happening to her.
Well, I was going downhill. I was just beginning to have panic attacks, and I would be driving in my car, and I'd have an attack. And it got to the point where I would have to call my sister. I would be home alone with the baby. At the time, I have a younger daughter who was 1 at the time. And they would have to. My sister would have to come up, and because I'd have to take a Xanax, and by that point, you're out of it. So it just became debilitating and paralyzing.
And isn't there also a stigma? Like, isn't it almost like some people want you to just knock it off?
Yeah, yeah.
Like there's
Like
you
you
have
can stop
control,
it,
right?
and you don't.
Right.
You don't. I
Right.
wish I did, but you'd go through the attack, and
Right.
it was just.
So it's coupled with shame and guilt, and plus this
Yeah.
debilitating thing that's going on. So
Yeah.
tell us, how did you get set free?
A friend of mine from Maddie's preschool came up to me, somebody from this church, and she actually just gave me a hug and said, if you ever need someone to talk to, we're here, and we have a Bible study at my house, and I'd love for you to come. And so I went to the Bible study the following week, and from that point on, the Word was like so alive to me, and I wanted more and more and more, and it was great.
Right. And you're probably also pretty hungry and thirsty for a
Yes.
friend.
Yes,
For a friend.
absolutely.
Yeah, because anxiety does isolate you, and that is one thing that the one that looks around, seeing who he can devour, wants you all alone, locked in your room,
Yes.
feeling bad about yourself.
Yeah.
So how did you rise up? What happened?
So I went to the Bible studies, and then eventually my friend was teaching here a Bible class for church. And when I walked through these doors, I felt like I was home. I just felt like everyone welcomes me in love. And ever since then, I just constantly, there's rarely a day that I don't come to church, unless there's something really important, a family outing or something. I don't.
And how did you get delivered from the anxiety?
I went through, well, as I was coming here to church, I feel like I was plugged into the Word. I counseled with Pastor Don. I've been plugged in with my friends. I continue to go to Bible study. And then I heard the Lord say to me, okay, you can set it down now. You can come off the medication. I don't recommend that for everyone, but I got a clear word. And it's going to be 2 years in June that I stopped taking, I was taking Zoloft and Xanax, and have not had to take it. Pastor Don had taught me one thing that I always hold on to, which is fear. The word fear is false evidence appearing real. So anytime I get worked up or, just a little nervous about things, that just kind of plays in my head. And I don't know, it's great not having to take the medication, and I feel great.
Wonderful. You look
Yep.
good.
Thank you.
So when you get a clear word from the Lord, no matter how mature you are in the Lord, do you share that with a fellow Christian to just make sure?
Yes.
And pray about it?
Yeah,
And get
and discern
counseling?
about it, definitely.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
good. That's good. So speak a word over those people out there that might be having some of the same problems as you.
Well, I just pray that you find with my testimony that there's hope for the hopeless, and there's love waiting for you from Jesus. And if you haven't already accepted Jesus into your heart, all you have to do is ask him into your heart, and he'll be there, and he'll give you the peace that you need. Get yourself plugged into a good church, a good word-teaching church, and you'll be blessed.
So you have a lot of different creative talents. And one thing I'd like to just draw your attention to is part of the opening of this program, Michelle and our director created. And you have a real artistic talent with such things, but it doesn't feel like that, does it? Tell me about it.
I just never thought I was you know, everybody says you have a talent or whatever about it, but I've never felt that way. But when I do these projects, it's always God-led. I see things like in sort of like vision and pictures with music and songs, and I just put it together, and that's how I create.
Yeah. And so now are you working, developing websites and things for people? Are you doing more creative projects in
Yes.
television?
Well, my husband is trying to do website design and stuff, so I help him with that, and I just try and take on whatever I can, whatever
Great.
little projects there are.
So we have a little bit of time left. Tell me, what is your dream?
My dream is actually to go into some type of healing ministry, helping others. I believe in miracle signs and wonders, and I believe that God's going to use people mightily in that area. And I just hope that, you know, I'm going to stay plugged in and continue to learn and grow and be mentored by Pastor Don. And, you know, we'll see where God takes me.
Well, he's brought you a long way.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your
Thank you.
testimony. And be anxious for nothing. And anxiety is not anything that you're guilty of. It's something that you need the Lord's help with. So if you are anxious, seek the Lord. And like she said, find a good place, get plugged in, and know that Jesus loves you. We'll see you next time on Just Say So.